Hello, everyone. Welcome to Team Business Chat, where we learn about the business world through local professionals and business leaders. This is now our third event of this speaker series, and thank you for taking the time to participate in today's speaker event. I'm Eric, the host for this program. With that being said, I'm very excited to introduce our next guest speaker for today. With me here today, we have Spencer Nash. He is currently a student at Georgetown University, studying business and global affairs, and worked as a Summer Analyst Fellow at Franklin Advisory. Also, he is only one of the only Fairfax County High School students to have been selected for the 2021 Bank of America Student Leaders Program. That's a fun fact. And in today's interview, I'll be asking questions regarding his experience as a student pursuing business. So just to start the first question off with your background, when did you realize that business was the field that you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, totally. I think there were two main contributors to that. The first was I ran a sneaker business throughout my high school. I ended up stopping in college to focus on other things, but in high school, I started at the beginning of my freshman year as a way to really just get shoes that I liked for myself and as a way to afford shoes. But I soon turned to actually really like the actual process of it. And it was something that I could totally see myself pursuing in the future, maybe not with sneakers, maybe with something else, but I love the aspects such as deal flow, finding clients, and really just connecting and networking with other people in the field. I think it was a great place to do so with a hobby that you're passionate about. For me, I met a lot of people within the Northern Virginia area, just even through sneakers, and a lot of became really some of my really good friends today. So there's definitely that personal aspect. And I think also the second main proponent was my junior year. I ended up starting to compete in DECA. I competed, my school, Langley High School, did not have a team, but I did a dual enrollment entrepreneurship course at Marshall, and I was able to compete with Marshall's team. My teacher for entrepreneurship was Miss Gaffin. She played a huge role in my life in shaping my interest in DECA. My junior year, I ended up qualifying for the state competition in a marketing role play event. And then my senior year, I ended up qualifying for the International Career Development Conference, which is essentially seen as nationals, the level past states in DECA. And I did that in a finance operations sector. So that really, really allowed me to give the opportunity to really just express and really deepen my interest within finance. And I realized that finance kind of suited me a bit more than marketing, which I originally did. And I think that DECA and just being able to talk with Miss Gaffin overall was a great place for that.
Awesome. So speaking of in high school, were there any other fields that you may have wanted to explore besides business?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there were two that I also considered. The first is just general economics. I think I took an AP Econ class my senior year of high school, and I really enjoyed that class. I thought observing the world from a more macro perspective, a more overall perspective, just from in terms of trade and exports and imports, was really fascinating to me. And I loved how different parties interacted. So I was definitely considering a field in general economics. I think overall, I decided that I wanted more focused on the individual rather than the corporation. So I felt that going into business specifically would give me more of an opportunity to actually make an impact myself. And I feel like economics is still a great path. And I've taken some economics classes at college as well. Those have been really fun, but I really wanted the opportunity to be able to make deals on my own. The second was computer science. And I took an AP computer science class in high school in my junior year. And then I also volunteered at a coding nonprofit called Codify, where I was able to teach Java from what I learned in the class to a lot of different high school students. And that has kind of stuck with me. I'm doing a minor in computer science here at Georgetown. So I really appreciate that opportunity to get that technical aspect and combine it with other aspects of my life too.
Awesome. So going back, I want to go back to the sneaker business because I find that really interesting. So tell us more about your high school sneaker business and how has that business influenced your interest in business today?
Yeah, no, for sure. I guess I can walk you through from the beginning. I started September my freshman year, and let me tell you, the first year it was pretty rough. I made zero sales on Instagram. I was selling all through other platforms like eBay and to my local friends. And it was hard. Being an entrepreneur is very challenging when you encounter these different obstacles in the field. But I really kept pushing, and by the end of my senior year, I ended up amassing nearly 5,000 followers on the page. I had $150,000 in cumulative sales, and I would profit about 20% per pair. I at one time had 100 pairs of shoes in my room, and my family would always be like, Spencer, you got to start getting rid of these. And, I would get rid of them, but more would, just come right back in. And that is really, really what kind of just, I love just the entrepreneurial grit and that grind, that hustle, that always being able to know that you have control over what you're going to do next. And I was able to make tons of relationships with both consignment stores within my area, for example, at the Tyson's Corner Mall in Northern Virginia, and then also with just other resellers all around the world. I would sell nationwide. And one of my friends, for example, he lives in Boston, but we still keep in touch today. And we really met through sneakers. So I think just for me, what really helped sneakers and what made sneakers so influential in my life was at first the fact that, I love sneakers and I still do love sneakers. I really just, whenever I purchase a pair of shoes, I get still that same sense of satisfaction and gratitude. But it's more of change to loving just being able to go out every sneaker drop, say, okay, this is the plan that I'm going to take. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go on this website at this time. I'm going to go to this sneaker store in person. And by mapping out everything, I really fell in love of business. And when I would ship my shoes, I would always think, okay, how can I make more profit on the next pair? How can I lower my cost of inventory? How can I potentially get shipping boxes for cheaper? And all of these costs, they really do add up. And I saw my profits definitely start to expand as I grew older. And this was something that I really valued and took to heart, and I wanted to and to implement into the real world and beyond.
Wow, that's very inspiring story, and also such a cool hobby. So I want to kind of fast forward to during like senior year of high school, when college admissions that's over, like results come out. Why did you decide to further your education at Georgetown University, and do you believe you've made the right choice there?
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question as well. I think Georgetown, I'd always known it before for their foreign service school, as that is very famous and very well recognized. But being so close to Georgetown, I also want to take the initiative to learn about it more and see it as potentially a place that I could be attending for an institution. And when I looked in their business school, the McDonough School of Business, I noticed that they had a fantastic finance track. At first, I was fully set on finance, and I thought that that was really the place that I could thrive at. I've done many, many business type clubs and other business activities here at Georgetown through the resources offered by the McDonough School of Business, or the MSB. But also, as I got to Georgetown, I took notice of these foreign service opportunities. And there's a major that I ended up applying to called the Bachelor of Science in Business and Global Affairs. So this major allowed me to also implement my business interests, but also achieve more of an international perspective. And this is something that I didn't really know of or value while I was in high school. Doing international deals, whether international factors are affecting the markets in the United States or wherever else you're going to live, that is something that's huge and very overlooked, I think. Additionally, you can make international deals in terms of, say, trade. Going back to economics, you have a lot of exports and imports from in between countries, and examining those country relationships is really cool. So I thought that pursuing a major that allowed me to also stay true to my business self, yet being able to encompass a worldly perspective, was all the more important. And then even the combination of a computer science minor in there allows me to also dictate one of my other passions and keep studying that going forwards as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I want to go more into this. Your Bachelor of Science in Business and Global Affairs. So how do you think this, you talked about what made you interested, and I want to kind of go into how do you think this will impact your career interests in the future?
Yeah, totally. So the degree is a joint degree across the School of Foreign Service and the MSB. And I think that just to restate a little bit, what really got me interested was making that global perspective. And I know one of the parts that interested me most was they have a lot of experiential learning opportunities where we'll go on trips across the United States and even internationally, such as to the Dominican Republic, to learn about different business supply chains. I know this past year, the cohort 2 years older than me, they ended up going to North Carolina, Tennessee, San Francisco, and the Dominican Republic, all in a 2-week trip at the beginning of the summer to learn about the Gap pipeline. And they would see, okay, this is the supply chain, this is how the clothes are made, this is where the materials are harvested from. And I thought that doing a degree like this would be great for me to be able to actually see for myself, where could I really make an impact, and where can I see, okay, this is how other types of people are living, this is how other corporations are, doing business. And this was something that was very important to me, since I wanted to see what lessons I could learn from that. Going forwards, I think also without this degree, I definitely would not have had as much exposure to international markets. And I think investing in international markets is a degree that I could completely see myself, or a career path that I could completely see myself going towards. I want to be able to leverage people from all over the world, and the opportunities that have access to all over the world. In fact, what I actually have been doing a little bit through clubs and my other interests, which we can totally touch on later as well, is investing in private companies in Latin America. Latin America is a place where, I've studied Spanish all throughout high school, and even the Business and Global Affairs program, since it is through the School of Foreign Service, it is a requirement to be deemed proficient and fluent in Spanish, or another language of your choice, by Georgetown. So that, honestly, at first, well, I thought would be kind of scary, taking these really high level Spanish classes would be hard. But what I've actually found is I really, really do enjoy it. And I really enjoy learning about the language, taking these high level Spanish classes that are focused on more than just the Spanish mechanics, have led me to learn even a deeper understanding about these Spanish speaking countries, and even about their economic and political states, which can really help you on other business paths as well.
Great. So yeah, you mentioned we can go into more of your college experience, like clubs. So I know
Yeah.
you're a member of Students of Georgetown, better known as the Corp. Tell us more about this student organization, and what makes the Corp significant, and also your personal experience. How has that been with the Corp?
Yeah, totally. So just to give some context about the Corp is a student-run coffee shop service. It is the largest student-run nonprofit in the entire nation, and their motto is students serving students. So what they do at Georgetown is they provide easy, accessible ways to even get coffee, but it's a bit more than just doing that. It's also about helping the student body in any way they can. So one of their initiatives is partnering with a mutual aid fund. So students that are maybe underprivileged, or college is very expensive for them, which is definitely a lot of people anywhere you go, they have the opportunity to collect funds from all Corp members, and even outside of the Corp, to give back and help these high achieving students out in affording the high cost of college. Also, with student serving students, they are very receptive to student feedback. So we have 8 different coffee shops located on Georgetown's campus. I work in one in the Intercultural Center. And so every day, I even worked a 3-hour shift today at the cashier. So for me, I see it personally as kind of a break just from the other dynamic piece of my life, with so many business aspects, so many business clubs, which I'd also love to get into later as well. This is really just a place where I can find balance. And I've found it real rewarding just to see my friends even walking around, coming up and ordering a pastry or a coffee, and me being able to be the one to serve them, and them saying, oh, I was having a pretty rough day, but getting this latte really means a lot. And I really do. Caffeine is a huge thing at college, I will say that. So just being able to kind of see those smiles on their faces, and see, oh, like, you're working today, Spencer, great to see you here. And even just catching up with an old friend is very useful. And I think that my experience with the Corp has overall been very, very beneficial. I've met people throughout the Corp that I would have totally not met otherwise. It really brings together a lot of the student body in a really unique way. And then also just the opportunity to help out other parts of Georgetown, help out other parts of the student body that may need it a bit more as well, has been definitely very rewarding for me. And I really appreciated the opportunity.
Awesome. It's great to hear about such a special club for Georgetown. I also want to go into your other club experiences, and specifically, how's your experience with the Georgetown Student Capital Partners been further exposed you to different areas of business, and how has this role in this club impacted your interests?
Yeah, totally. So Georgetown Student Capital Partners is one of the business clubs I'm in. So as I said, I'd like to separate just having the Corp and working at a coffee shop with also my business clubs to achieve a balance in life, which has been very important for my mental health. And with Georgetown Student Capital Partners, the club is actually Georgetown's first club focused on private investing. So what private investing is investing into companies that are not publicly traded on the stock market. So when a company goes public, they will file for something called an initial public offering, and that will allow consumers like you or me to purchase any shares from them. But before they do and before they file an initial public offering, they're private. So they have to raise money from other investors, other people, and they have to find some way to continue to grow their business. So I actually got into this club last fall, and then we were the first class of analysts. It was a completely new club. So in a way, you could see it as kind of taking a risk with your professional career. Where did you want to allocate your time? Where did you feel like you could be most rewarded for the effort that you're putting in? And I definitely think I've made the right choice. But I think when I started out, I was a bit nervous. I worked in the startups division as a principal, which means that I was the lead analyst within my team. And we were consulting a startup that was actually founded by Georgetown MBA students, but the club kind of has networks through Georgetown and beyond. And I was very nervous at first. I thought, oh my gosh, this is like a real business. If I'm advising them poorly, that could go terribly wrong. What if this business, goes bankrupt, goes completely in the drain? But I knew that GCAP, or Georgetown Student Capital Partners, had provided me with valuable education sessions beforehand that really, had me prepared. So through consulting the startup and working with them, we did a numerous activities, such as reviewing their pitch deck for other investors. We helped source them other investors, and we helped change up their business model in terms of how they can optimize their revenue, and also help them put together data to actually see how their company is performing. And I'm very proud to say that towards the end of the semester, we ended up helping them raise $100,000 through angel investors, which are essentially individual investors looking to invest in private companies, startup companies. So once they achieved that goal, we were very, very happy, and we were very proud that they'd achieved this. So once they did, obviously they were very happy with us, and it luckily kept a good reputation throughout the club. This semester, I ended up switching, since I first really liked the idea of working with a startup. Since running my sneaker business, I loved entrepreneurship, but becoming a bit more attracted to private investing, which was definitely something that also developed over the summer. So we could for sure touch on that a bit later as well. I really wanted to switch to the venture capital division. So that is what we're going to be starting up this semester. I'm super excited being a principal again, and being able to work with another team of analysts and working with a bigger firm focused on working towards, okay, what are the best investments they can make, and how can we help them add value in any way they can.
Amazing. So, I mean, it's great to hear about this business specific club. I want to also go into another one, Georgetown Blockchain. So that's something that I found personally interesting, because I'm personally interested in cryptocurrencies. I almost kind of invested into it. What made you interested in becoming an investment analyst at Georgetown Blockchain?
Yeah, definitely. So I think at some point in their lives, everybody's heard the term, Bitcoin, blockchain, crypto. And walking into Georgetown, I of course had heard these terms, but I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't know what any of it meant. So I saw an opportunity to further these interests and further understand the world around me. I think that's what's driving a lot of my business interest in general, just understanding how the world works around me. And Georgetown Blockchain was a great way to do that. The club also was founded throughout the second semester of my freshman year, so last spring, and I was also in their inaugural class of analysts. And I did step away from the club for this semester, since I wanted to allocate time towards different things, but I did still have a super rewarding experience. I'm still friends with everyone in the club. I really felt that I understood crypto on a high level, and I think that when you're hearing all these terms around, say, Ethereum, blockchain, you can say, okay, when's the best time to invest? And you can watch however many YouTube videos that you want. But I think that having the right education, which Georgetown Blockchain did outline for us, they created a six-week education seminar with a component that was actually writing the newsletter about news that happened in the crypto world. So when I wrote newsletters about NFTs that came from music bands, I actually felt that this was something that was really interesting to me. I had no idea that music NFTs were so popular, but here we are. I was reading articles, and I realized how much interest that they have garnered. So being able to understand something that I wouldn't have even been aware of at first was really impactful for me. And I felt that Georgetown blockchain was a great way to really be able to explain to someone, okay, this is what a stable coin is. This is what drives some investments. Here's how investing in crypto is a bit different than investing in public stock markets. So I thought that, yeah, overall, it was a great opportunity for me to do that.
Awesome. It's great to hear that there's a club providing good education on cryptocurrencies, especially knowing how speculative the market is. Um,
Yeah.
and speaking of, I want to go back to your summer experience. So one of your activities over
Totally.
the summer is research. And tell us more about your research and what made you interested in researching over the summer. And why is it Latin American economic development your topic?
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, as you mentioned, the topic was economic development in Latin America. Specifically, my paper is titled Latin American Economic Development: Are the Effects of the Debt Crisis Still Prevalent Today? So, this was largely actually spawned from being able to take Spanish and being able to do the Business and Global Affairs program. I think that program has really influenced my worldly perspective, and investing in Latin America is something that as I've mentioned before, is I might consider for a career path. So I saw ways to understand the region in areas not as talked about, maybe going outside of the classroom to see, okay, what actually brought Latin America to the state that it's in today. If you do know anything about investing in Latin America, just the quick rundown that you would know is that it's very risky and there's not a lot of liquidity. Liquidity is the amount of cash that's available, essentially. So a lot of companies on the Latin American stock markets, for example, will delist, which means they actually they go back from being public to either being private or going public on another stock market in, say, the United States. And seeing all these delistings, seeing the risky environment that it was to invest in, I wanted to know, why is this the case? Why is investing in Latin America so interesting? Why is it so catastrophic, you might say? Why is it so just poorly run? And you could a lot of times point to just the economic facilities and the policies that are in place. But to find the root cause of this, I investigated the debt crisis. In the 1980s, basically all of Latin America had a debt crisis because they would end up taking out too many loans from the United States as a major partner and from their commercial banks, and then using those loans for consumption, whereas instead they should have used it for terms of economic development. And also they were purchasing a lot of oil from the United States. And within these purchases, they had different oil price spikes, and this overall caused them to take pretty big losses on their investments. And it got to the point where they simply could not pay off foreign debt. So they ended up having to work out restructuring agreements with the United States. And by investigating into these restructuring agreements, I've seen that today, Latin America, the economic performance is still recovering from even 30, 40 years ago. And it's something that is very interesting to me to see how something rooted so deeply in countries' histories can actually still have an impact today. What was seen as an emerging economy and still seen as emerging economies in Latin American countries is something that is also very tricky to navigate from a policy perspective, I guess is the best way to put it. Even from, you talk about politically from the United States, they want to find out how they can best help Latin America, because obviously establishing a good relationship with them could be beneficial long term. But with such poor economic policies and overall structure in terms of banking in place, it's very challenging. And I wanted to see what made it so challenging and how that might look going forward. So I am almost done with the paper. I'm 25 pages in, and I'm going to keep working on it for another week or two. It will probably be probably a little over 30 by the time it's done. And then I'm going to look to get it published in a journal as well. So I did the research in sponsorship from the Georgetown MSB, but I'm also looking forward to seeing if I can get it published in a Latin American journal.
Awesome. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like, I want to go to the big, kind of like a bigger picture. I see a pattern of international business in your major with foreign service and also your research in Latin America. Is this something you see yourself pursuing? And do you have any plans to study abroad? And if so, where?
Yeah, the study abroad that's a tricky question, since even for me, I've hotly debated this topic. If I do study abroad, I've decided that I would either want to go to Madrid or Barcelona. I think it's only fitting being able to go to a Spanish speaking country and really learn from there. And Georgetown has a lot of places that you can study abroad to, but I think in terms of going where I could learn the most and experience the most for my personal self would definitely be Madrid or Barcelona. I'm probably, I would say like 30% leaning towards study abroad. It's definitely a tricky question since I want to spend as much time on campus as possible. And the difficulties with studying abroad is in terms of even staying connected with people. Obviously, there's a big time difference and space difference. It's thousands of hundreds of thousands, or not hundreds, but hundreds and thousands of miles away. So it's definitely a tough decision to make. But I think overall, it's a very enriching experience that I've heard from a lot of other people. And if going forwards in a field such as international business, I think studying abroad could be invaluable to the perspective that you bring. I think being able to talk to people that actually live in, let's say, if you do want to go into international business dealing with Latin America or Spain or other Spanish speaking countries, then going to actually visit them and being able to interact in their daily lives is can really help shape your field of view. But I also think that it can be done without it. So going forwards, I think working for a firm such as a venture capital firm, which has a large emphasis on investing in Latin America, is definitely, that would be my dream career. It's definitely very difficult to get, so it's going to require a lot of work, but I think that would be something that I would be very interested in. Or if not, I would love to also stay in the United States and do either private or public investing work in investment banking or investing privately through venture capital. I think those are very viable career paths that I could see myself pursuing. And they have just the right balance of the technical skills that I like and that I think I've been developing, as well as also the qualitative, more personable skills that I also want in any job. I also want to stay connected with everybody. So I think that there's a wide range of avenues which I could go down, which have been opened by the clubs and by the business and global affairs major. So I'm really happy with the position I'm in now. And my mentality is just, let's see where it goes. Let's see where my career takes me.
Yeah. So speaking of where you go, with studying abroad being an option, do you have any other future plans at Georgetown University, like more research or internships or clubs?
Yeah, definitely. So I do actually have one research assistantship position that I'm about to start in the next week and a half. And this research assistantship is with a professor of mine named Professor Rudra. She is amazing. And she actually co-taught the Business and Global Affairs introduction class, which I took in my freshman spring. She co-taught that with another professor, Professor Jensen, who I actually did with my summer research with him. He advised me on that. And just mentioning this, that for anyone that's watching out here, professors can be an invaluable resource to you, and they can help you in so many ways that you wouldn't even expect. So I think that establishing those good relationships with them throughout the class has helped me score these positions. And Professor Rudra in particular, she focuses on research revolving around, say, globalization, which is kind of the worldly sentiment towards opening up markets more and towards opening up trade to other countries. So we are going to be working together to find projects and analyze other papers about globalization and hopefully even publish another one of our own. She has published numerous research papers, so I think it'd be a great opportunity to work on one with her. And the other thing we are doing is setting up what's called a political economy workshop. Professor Rudra works in the government department at Georgetown, and the political economy workshop is a biweekly workshop which she sets up with other professors across the government department, the international affairs department, anyone that's doing research on something related to the political economy, and they can present their findings in their research paper so far. There's usually about 50 attendees consisting of graduate students and other professors, and they all come just to hear about research that everyone else is doing. So I think that being able to be in the position of organizing this and becoming in contact with these other professors is very useful to me, and something that as an undergraduate student is something that I value quite a bit. And I think that being able to continue research with another one of my favorite professors is something that I'm very excited about going forwards. And I'm hoping to just see what we can come up with. So we're having a one-on-one meeting about it next week. So I'm very excited for that.
Awesome. Sounds awesome.
Mhm.
Also, moving beyond just college, what are your plans for after Georgetown? Do you plan to stay in DC or maybe even move out of the state or the country?
Yeah, that's a also great question that requires a lot of. I think it's there's a lot of personal sentiment from your end, and then also there is kind of some restrictions though based on maybe potentially what positions you are offered. So I have lived in or around DC all my life now, and going to college here has been amazing. It's something that I is better than I ever imagined while in high school, but I think exploring more parts of the world would be on my to-do list there. I know that there are a lot of great opportunities within DC, specifically say consulting or at the intersection of business and global affairs uh, per the major. But I think DC does offer a lot of great chances to be able to be involved with politics, both in the US and internationally. But I think exploring somewhere either further up the East Coast, potentially New York, or I would also be open to going towards the West Coast in Los Angeles or another nearby city. I think that it's important to not really separate yourself from what you love, but just getting out of your comfort zone can be a really rewarding experience. And I think living in a completely new place that I'm unfamiliar with, obviously, when coming to Georgetown, I'd been to DC a couple times, so I knew a little bit about it. But I think the opportunity to be able to not restart your life, but be able to open a new chapter somewhere else is something that if you have the opportunity to do so and you're in the personal and financial position to do so, should be something that you should always take up. So I would love to go to New York and or Los Angeles and work within private or public investing, but we'll also have to see. I'm going through the actual recruiting process for internships for both this summer and the following summer after my junior year, very, very soon. So I'm going to work my hardest there and see really what opportunities and offers that I have at my disposal and see where I might best be fit. And after grad, we can see if I want to stay at the office that I work at, or if maybe I want to experience something else, I can definitely move and definitely have that option.
Great. Well, first of all, good luck with the recruiting process. I can definitely see you doing great. And
Thank you.
to kind of wrap this up, I want to talk about focus on like specific advice that you have for the audience and also some library specific questions. So first, do you have any advice for high school students looking to pursue a career in business? For example, stuff like networking, studying, or specific experiences?
Yeah, definitely. So high school is a fantastic place to find out where uh, what you might want to study, whether it's business, whether it's something else, whatever it is. It's what I found as a great place to find where my passions lie. As I've kind of mentioned throughout this talk, I took a lot of classes such as computer science, such as AP economics, such as even entrepreneurship that have really found myself and cemented my interest in business. Whether you want to do business or not is completely where your passions lie. So I think my best advice would be, first of all, to always challenge yourself. I think if even if you see an AP course, you say, oh, this might be a bit difficult. If you are really interested in it and if you really like it, go for it. I'd say this is the one opportunity where kind of after high school, nothing in high school really matters that much. Once you get to college, it's basically a new chapter to your life. You're meeting completely new people. So high school is really a good place to make mistakes. I think wherever your passions might lie, whatever you might want to do, I'd say go out and do it. I think more business specific, that same mindset is very applicable to other things as well. Having a driven mindset and being entrepreneurial is the second and probably the second piece of advice, but probably the biggest advice that I could give someone. I think running my sneaker business, even just the intangibles of being able to wake up every single day and say, okay, how am I going to get a sale today? How am I going to purchase new shoes for myself? And I would set goals based on how my business was doing. If I was doing really well, I'd say, okay, how am I going to increase my profits from 20% to 30% on this next pair? How am I going to source shoes more cost effectively? And I think having this mindset has allowed me to apply it into so many other different aspects of my life. Being entrepreneurial, being a go getter, being a hustler, being gritty and scrappy is just something that will shine through anywhere in any job that you work, in any class that you take. For me, it's tough being able to balance all these clubs and activities also with research and being a full-time student. So just the ability to wake up on, those early mornings, even when I don't have class for a couple hours, but to just get a bit of extra work done or to maybe network a little bit. It takes a lot of heart and passion, and it's definitely not easy. But I think just being able to run that sneaker business and become entrepreneurial has really taught me how to find it within myself to get up and do what I'm passionate about. I think just lastly, the other advice that I would give are the other, I guess, two pieces. First piece about studying in particular is studying is it's hard and no one really wants to do it that much. But I found that the biggest thing that's helped me is moving my study location. So I used to only work in my dorm room. In high school, I would only work in my bedroom. And, after an hour or so, I would get pretty lazy. My bed's right there, my phone, I could, just go and text my friends. But there are times when you really, really need to be locked in and you really need to just put your head down for a few hours, study for that test, keep those grades up. That's, probably the most important thing in high school is getting high grades. But making sure that you complete all the assignments. So in college, I frequently switch between the library, my room, other common rooms on campus. And I found myself being able to work productively has been a huge reason why I am able to balance so much. And also, of course, getting good grades in college is very important. So I've also recognized that if there's too much on my plate, I can text someone in my club and say, hey, it's a kind of a rough week for me. Let me take it easy here so I can focus on other things. And then also networking. That is something that is not as prevalent in high school, but is very prevalent when you get to college. So high school is a great opportunity to start working on those networking skills. Through obviously my sneaker business was a great way, but even with my professors and my teachers. So Miss Gaffin, for example, wrote me a college recommendation, and being able to display leadership qualities within her class, within DECA, when I was the vice president of DECA my senior year, and within other aspects, such as just in my AP Lang class, where that teacher also wrote me a recommendation because she saw how hard I worked, how diligently I worked. Making connections with teachers and professors can go a long way, both in high school and college. So I think that if you are in a class and maybe you're looking to apply to college, I think the best thing that you can do is stay connected with these professors and these teachers. I'm sorry, I keep referring to them as professors, but they can also help you in other ways as well in terms of joining clubs. I know in terms of Model United Nations, which was another activity I did, I definitely would not have had the passion or the initiative to join the club if it weren't for my Spanish teacher at the time, who was the sponsor of the club. So I think being able to talk to your teachers on a more personal basis, even if it's just staying after for a couple of minutes, is really important and can go a long way.
Great. Awesome advice and motivation. So moving into sort of library specific questions, what books, I'm just going to throw all three at them, three of them at you. So what books are you reading right now? What are your favorite books? And then what books would you recommend aspiring business students to read?
Yeah, definitely. So I think right now I'm focusing a lot on business books. Before I kind of, tested different areas a little bit. And, for example, I would read fantasy and historical fiction a lot. One for the younger kids, one series that I really liked and I would really recommend reading is definitely the Percy Jackson series, which was really helpful and, well, not helpful, but it really just enjoyable. I would love coming home and reading that. And I still remember the books very clearly in my mind. And at a time I was idolizing Rick Riordan. I thought he's a fantastic author. Another book that I read in high school for my free time was called Beneath the Scarlet Sky. This is a historical fiction book about World War II within Italy and then also in Germany as well. So I think that reading overall is a great way to decompress and kind of just escape from the other aspects of life. So in high school, this was one way that I did it, reading a lot of fiction books and books that, really just let me escape from what I was doing at the time and be transported into another world. I had also, in terms of college, as I grew a little bit, I think my reading interest shift to where I wanted to help myself professionally as well. And business books are a great way to do this. The two first business books I read are called The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, and then also Rich Dad, Poor Dad. These books are very important in terms of making personal financial decisions, and I would highly recommend the two to any aspiring business leader. The 4-hour work week was very influential in teaching me how to best optimize my time. And probably the biggest lesson that I learned is called the 80-20 rule, which means that 80% of your actions are producing, or 20% of your actions are producing 80% of your results. And I learned this at the time I was reading it when running my sneaker business. And I learned that, okay, maybe sourcing sneakers on these certain platforms were not the best use of my time. And when I tracked and looked into my analytics, I would see, okay, most of my sneakers do come from Instagram. So I'm going to utilize that more. And then Rich Dad Poor Dad as well also taught me a lot about personal budgeting and spending habits. And it's spoken from the perspective of a rich family and a poor family. And it really teaches you how to best manage your money. When you're young, you might want to just spend everything. And, I definitely had those sentiments as well. But I realized that going into the future, I could develop a better habits for myself. And definitely in college, it's very expensive. So being able to put forth some money towards that is something very rewarding to me. The other books that I'm reading right now, I am reading a book called The Secrets of Sand Hill Road, Venture Capital and How to Get It, by Scott Cooper, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. He is a partner at a fantastic venture capital firm called Andreessen Horowitz, which is based in California. And his book is very aligned with my career interests, which as everybody gets older, I would highly recommend doing that as just a supplement to the classes you're taking, as supplements your activities. And I've learned a lot about it's very technical, and I've learned a lot about how venture capital actually works and how investing in private companies actually works. And I think that even when I worked my internship this past summer, in addition to my research, it was a book that I even saw parallels to as well. The other book that I'm looking to read is called The Intelligent Investor. And this is more for investing in public equities. It's by Benjamin Graham. It's a very well-known book within the finance field and very comprehensive of investment strategies and value investing. So I think it's also something that I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. Great recommendations. I would also second the Percy Jackson books. They're an amazing series. And it was awesome having you here to talk about your professional and student experience along with your background. So that would be the end of the interview. And thank you so much, Spencer, for being our guest speaker today.
Of course. Thank you so much, Eric, for really inviting me here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to talk about my experiences and hopefully help out some other aspiring business leaders as well.
Yeah, of course. It was great having you here.